Hi, everyone. I am glad to be here with you all. I'm sure you've heard of the registry at some point this week. So today I will give an overview of the FOP Registry and the importance of participating. Is anybody here actually active in the registry in the room? No? Okay, so you guys are a bunch of newbies. Awesome. Okay. Just a little heads up, just know that this registry, we're constantly improving with our technology, and so we are very active and we have a dedicated team as part of our help desk. So if you want to join and you encounter any sort of problems, you can contact me, you can contact the help desk, and we are very quick to kind of resolve those issues. So just a little heads up. Okay. So what is the FOP Registry? The FOP Registry is the largest and most in-depth database of clinical and medical information about FOP and those who are living with FOP. The registry was started for patients initially, but now we have grown to include physicians as well. The FOP Registry collects information like demographics, diagnosis, medical care, bone growth, symptoms of possible flare-ups, and your use of mobility aids. We also ask questions about your quality of life. So essentially, the registry is the ability of you being able to tell your FOP story, and that in its own actually contributes to a lot of research efforts. So the FOP Registry's purpose is to help those who are living with FOP today and to also collect longitudinal data to help understand FOP and help future generations by accelerating FOP research and enabling clinical studies in FOP and improving the understanding of FOP now and in the future. Many of our current registry participants share the vision of our registry, and as one participant said, the registry was something easy to do, something I could do to help. At the time, I wasn't eligible for any clinical studies, and the FOP Registry was a way to contribute to the wealth of knowledge. There are so few of us with FOP that it makes a difference for each of us, and I want to do my part. And that's resonated within our participant community. So why is the FOP Registry so important? The contribution of patient data can really help longitudinally to understand FOP. And this better understanding will help accelerate the development of treatments and eventually a cure. Physicians have access to this information through data requests, and this can provide powerful insights into ways they can better manage your care, and ultimately, the more information we have, the more we can understand, and the more that we understand, the more effective and efficient we can be in our collective research efforts and our goals. So we as a team, we're constantly learning from the registry, but a wonderful thing about this registry is that you can learn too as a participant. For example, if you are experiencing any sort of ear issues or auditory issues, do you ever wonder how many others are also experiencing this difficulty? By participating in the registry, you actually have access to this information once you complete a survey. So for example, you would be able to see that 45% of patients in the FOP registry report symptoms affecting their ears. And to emphasize how we are learning from the registry, with the information we've been able to uncover and learn from, the road to diagnosis is significantly shorter, and most people are now diagnosed correctly by the age of 3, and this is significantly earlier than prior generations. So what we have learned from you tells us where we should focus our energy and efforts in the future. For example, as you can see, about 44% saw a pediatrician at symptom onset, but only 13% actually received a correct diagnosis from a pediatrician. So what does that tell us? That tells us that we should focus our advocacy and awareness efforts on targeting and educating the pediatricians so they better understand FOP and to be aware of the signs and symptoms so they can more accurately diagnose patients rather than providing an incorrect diagnosis. And as you can see, we have 53% of the participants in our registry that reported that they received an incorrect diagnosis. So we're always trying to improve those metrics as well. As I opened, we began with the patient portal, but now we have added the physician portal as well. In the patient portal, you simply submit a survey every 6 months on your FOP symptoms and your lifestyle over the last 6 months since your last survey. In the physician portal, physicians are invited to enter clinical information about you and your diagnosis, symptoms of possible flare-ups, and additional signs and symptoms. We encourage physicians to enter this information about you annually, and however, you do have the choice to participate in either portal. So your physician will not enter information about you unless they have received that written consent. And as of the end of last week, we have over 400 participants in the FOP Registry, and approximately 42% of the world's known FOP population is participating from 56 countries, and that just speaks well to our global representation, and that's due to our translation of the registry into 7 different languages. So why should you participate? You may think that each participant is just one number, but there is seriously power in numbers. Each contribution has the ability to offer a new insight to academic and pharmaceutical researchers, which has a profound impact on their efforts. And your contribution will help you and other patients and families better understand FOP, and the registry has already been effective in helping doctors better understand FOP and further their research efforts, so the potential of each contribution is truly limitless. So getting started, now that I've spoken about why the registry is so important, we can go over how you can get started. So first you'll go to fopregistry.org and you'll click the Join Now link. Here you'll go through the steps to create your account process, pretty similar to a lot of other portals. Once you've created your account, you're ready to begin the enrollment survey. This enrollment survey is lengthier than the follow-up surveys as it asks questions about your diagnosis, and you do have to complete the informed consent form before you're actually able to access those questionnaires. And then we also ask that you provide a diagnosis report, so this can be either a laboratory report or anything provided from your physician that confirms that you are an FOP patient. There is another option as well, where you can verify that you are affiliated with an FOP community, and we just go through the processes of contacting the appropriate person so we can verify that you are a patient with FOP. And then the enrollment survey will take about 30 minutes to 1 hour to complete, and all follow-up surveys are significantly less, especially once you get familiar with the content and the type of questions that are being asked. All of your information is kept anonymous, and your information is de-identified, and we collect your contact information, though, for follow-up surveys and to communicate with you with any sort of registry-related information. And physicians and researchers actually can request to have information from the registry, but this information is always de-identified, and we always verify that this is actually verified research efforts, and so this is reviewed by our medical advisory board as well. We've also actually released just yesterday the mobile app for people to be able to complete the surveys on their phone. This is just for Apple devices at this time, but we're really excited about that, and we actually had the first participant complete that just yesterday in Orlando, so that was really excited to see because that's been a long time coming. So I think this will be an excellent way for them to be able to complete this so they're not tied to a computer. So what happens next after you complete the enrollment survey? After you go through the step-by-step enrollment process on the site, you'll have completed the enrollment survey, and it's important to know that you can always take a break and come back to where you left off and enter your information. So because this is a secure site, the site will always lock if you're idle after a certain amount of time, but you can always log in and access where you just left off. And once you complete your enrollment survey, the clock really starts, and so you'll receive 6-month follow-up surveys after that, and you'll receive email reminders when that survey is about to open, when it is open, and when it's about to close. So what information is needed? As I explained earlier, the enrollment survey takes a little bit longer because we do have the informed consent, and we do ask that you share your demographics and your diagnosis as well. You only need to, every 6 months, you will not need to provide that information, and you will only need to provide the standard forms on your follow-up surveys where you describe your medical care, your FOP signs and symptoms, and you complete quality of life questionnaires. You list your aids and devices and share any adaptations that you've had to make in the last 6 months. So we want you to know that every little bit of information is important, and every part of your story helps us understand a little bit more about FOP. You may think that since nothing has happened in the last 6 months, that you don't need to fill out a survey, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Even the fact that nothing has happened is truly something, and we want to be able to document that. So every part of your FOP story is very important to our research efforts. And as this slide says, some of your time just twice a year can mean so much to so many. We need everyone with FOP to enroll in this registry to help it reach its fullest potential. And I encourage you to reach out to members within your FOP community and members within your region. And I've left with some FOP registry brochures on your table, so you can take them with you and share that information with you. And again, this is just an important contribution to many research efforts within the FOP community. So I encourage you to please consider your participation. And again, as I said in the very beginning, if you do need help, it's very easy. Just contact myself, or you can contact the help desk. And that email address is right there. And something I like to share is how many people have submitted surveys, especially locally. So in the United States, since the inception of the FOP patient portal, we have had 100 participants complete or start their enrollment survey, and 85 that have completed it. And all the follow-up surveys have a pretty consistent trend, so we're always trying to think of new ways to encourage participants to continue with their follow-up surveys. And that brings me to my next slide. So just last month, we launched the FOP Registry Reward Program. We know that the surveys demand time, and we want to thank every registry participant who contributes or completes an entire survey by gifting them a $25 Visa gift card. We've seen a lot of excitement around this program just in 1 month alone, but we hope to see even more after this family gathering. And this program is open to new and existing registry participants, and it just really shows how thankful we are for you and your contributions. And we launched the FOP Registry in 2015, and the first 3 years were entirely supported by the IFOPA and donations from you and others that helped build the registry initially. Now, as the registry is continuing to grow and expand, we are truly grateful to these companies for their sponsorship and their support. So, Blueprint Medicines, Clementia, and Ipsen Company, and Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. So, thank you. Are there any questions?
Obviously, young children wouldn't be able to complete this. How do you handle that, and at what age do you want that to transition from adults filling it out for a child and FOP patients filling it out for themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do offer proxies, and so we offer that up to the ability where the parents feel comfortable with having the child complete those surveys on their own. We do have, in the consent, we have a consent and we have an assent, and that's delineated between different age groups. So based on your child's age, they'll fall into different categories, and the surveys are questioned or formatted in such a way to, if you're a child under the age of 7, then they can understand it. Between the ages of 7 and 10, they can understand the language as well, and then between 10 and 17, they can understand that language. Thanks.
This is maybe a little bit more of a comment. I know there was some confusion on my part maybe last year or a couple years ago, because there was signing up for clinical trials, there was the FOP directory, there was the FOP registry. There was a lot of things that were kind of signing up, and I think I got confused, and I thought I did the registry, but I did the directory, and I know we're in the registry now, but I haven't had a lot of email correspondence, so I need to confirm with you. Yeah. I know we're in it, but I don't know if I'm doing the updates correctly. So.
Yeah, and I'm very happy to talk with you after this, and I can pull up your profile to make sure that you're getting all the communications. We try not to overload a lot of the patients within the registry, because we do know that you do receive a lot of communications regarding the IFOPA and also the registry as well. But I'm happy to talk to you about that. And that was a comment that we did receive from a lot of our medical advisory board members, that a lot of the participants, they might experience some sort of survey fatigue because they're constantly inundated by a lot of new clinical trials and a lot of new surveys, which is great, but it's also hard for them to know if they're participating in the FOP registry, if they're participating in a survey that's a part of another clinical trial, or what have you. So we're actually thinking very actively about ways to make it very apparent what the FOP registry is, to separate it from other surveys they're completing, but I'm very happy to talk to you about that afterwards.